Hello viewers, welcome to our program on immigration and you. I am your immigration attorney Michael Fulwani, and once again we have with us attorney David Nachman, my partner. David, welcome.
Thank you so much, Michael. Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Adab.
Very good, you're learning. But learn a little more Hindi so that we can start again the programs in Hindi.
Okay, chalo.
Good. Okay, we start about today's program with the cutoff dates for the month of November 2012. The family preferences for all the countries is like this. The first preference, which is the unmarried sons and daughters over the age of 21 of US citizens, advances by 3 weeks to November 1st, 2005. The family 2A category, which is for the unmarried sons and daughters of green card holders under the age of 21, advances by 6 weeks to July 15, 2010. So this category is for spouses, husband, wife and children under 21 of green card holders. Family 2B category, which is for the unmarried sons and daughters over the age of 21 of green card holders, advances by 3 weeks to October 8, 2004. The family third preference, which is the married sons and daughters of US citizens, advances only by 1 week to June 1, 2002. And the family fourth preference, which are the brothers and sisters of US citizens, advances only for 1 week to March 22nd, 2001. David, looks like that this category, which was moving pretty nice 4 or 5 weeks, 3 weeks at least, is kind of slowing down
a little
and
bit.
A little disappointment because the waiting period with the 2001 cutoff date, right, we're looking to 12 years maybe.
It's long.
Yeah. Okay. On the employment preference categories, the EB1 category is current for all the countries. Employment second preference category, which is current for most of the countries except India, China, Mexico. And this category, if you recall, in the last month was January 1, 2012. So there's a pretty good movement in this category for other countries, not for India. And bad news for India. It does not advance at all. Date remains the same, September 1, 2004. So that's something that I know David will make some comments in a minute on that. The employment third preference, which includes the employment regular third and the other workers category, it advances for most of the countries, again, except India. It advances to November 22, 2006, a 1 month of advance movement. India, unfortunately, moves again only for 1 week to October 22nd, 2002. Now, the fourth preference, which is the religious workers, priests, and special immigrants, and the investors under the EB5 category, both categories become current again this month. And David, I'm sure, is going to make a comment on how come they were unavailable last month and now this month they have become available. Also, the problem with regard to the EB2, what are the options, what can we do? Is there any ideas you may have? Let's start.
Okay. Well, Michael, with regard to the issues of the current dates, I guess let's address that first. As you're aware, and many of our viewers are not yet aware, but we do have information out on the internet to let everyone know that 3 very important special immigration programs were extended by President Obama last week when he signed a bill which extended the E-Verify program. The E-Verify program, for those of you who are not familiar with that program, is an electronic verification system which allows individuals to go into employers to go into an electronic system to verify an individual's work authorization. Why is it important? Because many of you or your sons, daughters might be on foreign international student visas, and the E-Verify program allows you to get OPT for an additional 17 months if the employer is an E-Verify employer. So that is the first program that was extended. The second program that was extended, of course, was the EB-5 program for regional centers. That was extended till 2015, as was the E-Verify program. And then the third program, which was extended, for those of you who were taking a look at the Visa Bulletin last month, noticed that under the EB-4 other workers classification, this is not ministers, rabbis, and priests, but these are other religious workers. They were unavailable completely, and that's because Congress didn't extend the program. However, now with the program extended, those dates are current, so you can immediately apply for those visas if they're available.
So a little more recap on the cutoff dates is this. People get confused on this all the time. So there is a category called immediate relatives of US citizens, which comprises of husband, wife, or parent, or a child under 21 of US citizens. They are kind of not, they are some kind of indirect.
They're not really part of the preference category. They're separate from the preference
category. So generally they are always current because
right.
they're
immediate relatives.
Immediate relatives.
Right.
So that always people get confused. How come? That is always current and there are so many years of waiting period, but that's the way the law is made.
Right. A lot of people confuse that with the first preference category,
exactly,
which is different. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one more thing about the immediate relative category is that as against the other categories that I'll explain in a minute, the immediate relative category, you have to file a separate petition for each person. And some people I have seen making mistakes on the IR petition, filing for the father and just including the father into that because they're confused with the preference categories that work differently. But in IR petitions, you are filing for both parents, you have to file separate petitions. If you are filing for your wife and you got 4 children, you have to file 5 petitions, separate for the wife and each separate for each of the child. Remember that. And sometimes I have seen that people who are filed in the F2A category as a green card holder, a person files. In those categories, you can include the spouse and children under 21. So what happens, we see so many times that green card holder filed a petition for wife and all the children. When he became a citizen, he thought, now it's all upgraded, everybody will get together. When the wife and the children go for interview, the consul says, I am sorry, I can only issue the visa to the wife, not the children.
Right, because individual petitions were not done for
the... They are not permitted to include any derivative members.
Right.
So they get it out of that. And therefore, the people then have to wait for months and months when they file separate petitions for children. Although we have been able to persuade the immigration office in New Delhi, for example, India, and requesting them that because of this reason the child got out, can you kindly accept the I-130 there? And they said, okay, on those kind of humanitarian ground cases. But it's very important to understand. Now, on the preference categories, the family first, second, third, fourth, and the employment 1, 2, 3, 4, they are all 5 also. They are subject to the numerical limitations. There is a quota. And sometimes there is a demand and supply situation puts the dates years and years away like the brothers and sisters of US citizens. The last thing that what David explained to you, that the employment fourth preference religious workers and the investors category, the parts of that, they actually were pilot programs based upon a time limit. So they expired. In September they expired, and if they would have not extended, they would have gone out of the window. That was the reason in the September bulletin you saw U, means unavailable. Unavailable not because the unavailability of the visa numbers, because the program itself expired. And so that, as you explained, has been extended, and that's
right. And I think, Michael, it's also good for us to point out to our viewers that generally speaking in an election year, taking any type of a position on an immigration issue is very difficult for a politician. But here, President Obama obviously has signed the extension for these programs. And so I think that that's a showing of a step in the right direction. And again, him showing that he could be a champion for U.S. immigration law.
The only bright light we did, remember we talked about, we're going to make both of us some comments on the EB2 category. This is not fair. 2004, we are in 2012. EB2 we are talking about. We always used to tell people in the EB3 you have to wait years and years. So you convert into EB2 and then in 1 or 2 years you can get it.
That's right.
Unfortunately, it's not happening. It retrogressed and has stopped moving. So the solution to that was that the Congress should eliminate per country limits. And as we talked in one of the earlier programs, the bill was introduced by Republicans, but Democrats did not support it because the price to pay for that kind of benefit was eliminating the lottery program, and Democrats said no, no. So we have a strong feeling that this is something that's not very, very major if we have the Obama as a president and maybe some support in the Congress, because Congress wants also, Republicans wants also, because of the companies like your Microsoft and Boeing and all that, they have these our Indian and other professionals. So both David and me have a kind of feeling that there's a good possibility of that happening. And if that happens, then what happens?
Well, of course, you'll have EB2 cases will become current and individuals will be able to apply for green cards.
Current, or at least it will move much faster.
Yeah, well, much faster. And I think that, Michael, you're absolutely right in pointing out that it's really just an issue of unfairness.
Exactly.
And also an issue of predictability. And here all along we have been telling our clients that they should be looking at the possibility of doing an EB2 case because it's going to move things along faster, and yet the government is not giving us that ability to predict what's going to happen in that classification. I think that it's possible that if things change, obviously they'll advance the numbers, but remember also that we have this very difficult issue of whether or not they're going to take visas out of the diversity lottery. And that is something that maybe the
bone of contention, there is an issue there. We are hoping that hopefully they will get resolved, reach some kind of resolution. They have to. I mean, this is the first time it has been a terrible, terrible period where both parties don't agree with each other. Every single issue. One is on the left, one is on the right. Never happened like that over the years that I've been like 40 years. We have seen every session in the Congress, they come out, some compromise, up or down. I mean, but Alan Simpson and Ron Mazzoli are both the Democratic and Republican strong candidates. They came to a compromise to part a comprehensive immigration reform bill, the IRA.
That's right.
So ultimately, give and take. Always Congress.
If they want to do it, they can do it.
They can,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
They can do it, and there is always some give and taking. Okay, you do this, you agree to that, you drop this, you add that. That hopefully will happen. It always happens, and I think we got a couple of minutes that we want to talk about good advice to our people. When they file the petitions, like an I-130 petition for a brother, sister, husband, wife, child, lot of times they get RFEs. Means request for further evidence, and they say, oh my God, what happened, what happened?
Yeah, we refer to them
why don't
as
you make
these
some
dreaded
comments?
blue sheets.
I'll give them some suggestions, but I want you to tell, why do they get RFEs?
Well, RFEs oftentimes come because...
RFEs, what it means? Request
okay,
for
so
further
an
evidence.
RFE is a request for evidence. We call it the dreaded blue form.
Kickback.
And kickback. We call it the dreaded blue form, and it's kind of interesting from a historical perspective. I was up at the Vermont Service Center last week, and the first time I was at the Vermont Service Center, I remember getting a tour of their facilities and looking over and seeing all these skids of blue sheets. And I said, what's that for? And they said, that's our new initiative. Well, that's what RFEs are. So actually, we have to take a break, Michael. As soon as we come back, then what we can do is tell everyone some, we'll give everyone some ideas about what needs to be done.
Stop it. I think we have to, no, what break you're talking about?
He's blinking this light here.
No, one minute.
1 minute to go.
Oh.
Oh, I thought you knew this. Sorry.
No.
Oh, that means you have 1 more minute to wind up.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay, go
I'm
back.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You can do the closing.
Huh?
You can do the closing now.
Oh no, we're not done.
I
We're
need
not
a
done
minute.
with the subject.
I need a minute to comment.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it will be on you now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I know it. I'm like, he's taking.
Okay, now he is done, so you have to start talking, right?
No, I'm not done. Let me actually go back a little bit.
Lead it
Yeah,
the
go
last
back.
part.
Okay, let me
Yeah. Sorry.
Still sleeping.
He said, that's our new initiative. Well, that's what RFEs are. So actually, we have to...
Stop there.
Okay, good. Ready? New initiative. Well, that's what RFEs are.